Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, to the TimesJobs, forum, boardroom discussions as we call it. And this time it is not going to be branding, but more focused towards career development of the employees. You have already hired, they are 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, even 10 years, and you want to, and you develop their careers, how to do that so that you're able to retain them. That is the focus of today's discussion. TimesJobs has been holding these kind of boardroom discussions for over 2 years now. And it's part of our endeavor to act as a middleman and kind of bring the corporates and the academia, here represented by Symbiosis of course, to one table where they can discuss what are the issues and how to address it and go home with concrete steps, whether it comes to developing the syllabus or faculty upskilling or more corporate involvement on an ongoing basis. Those are all options that we could, we will be discussing here and coming up with some concrete solutions. To start the discussion, we could have a quick round of introduction and followed by once the name and the company name, after that you could say what are the issues that you're currently facing when it comes to career development and retaining and how you're currently addressing. A quick round of that to set the discussion rolling. We could probably begin from you, sir.
Sure. My name is Sumit Sharma. I look after human resources for Uninor. It's a Norwegian-based telecom company by the name of Telenor, and we operate under the brand name Uninor in India. As far as the key issues for us are concerned, I think it's well documented that the last year has been a particularly tumultuous one for the industry in general and for companies like ours in particular. We are essentially a 3.5-year-old company in India, where we had started off obviously in a startup mode and a very rapid scale-up mode. Then came the crisis year, which was essentially the last year when our licenses were cancelled, and now we are just entering probably what will be the next phase in our organizational life cycle, which is relatively more stable. Therefore, the people challenges or the employee career challenges largely are dictated by the environment and the position that we find ourselves in, which like I mentioned, has been affected by some external factors. The challenges are 2 or 3 in very quickly. One, the fact that we are new in the Indian scene, 3.5 years old. We are a relatively small organization at this point in time. We operate in 6 circles out of the 22 in India. The fact that we have had some fairly significant and existentialist dilemmas to face last year when we were fairly brutally affected by the government policies, by the actions of the competition, by whatever was happening around us. And so one challenge, of course, was to ensure that we keep our folks together and key talent together. When it comes to career progression, the industry is moving at a very fast pace, both in terms of growth and the. I should have asked you earlier how detailed can I be in this?
Just a brief.
Yeah.
Very briefly.
So I'll just.
3 points. One was your new. Second is the market. The third one would be.
Third, of course, is now that we move to the next organizational phase in the life cycle, where crisis management every day is not the order of the day, but more around stability and longer term thinking and so on. How do we get our employees to work towards that and focus on that? So that would be it.
Okay. Yes, sir.
All right. Good afternoon. Arun Sehgal, can you hear me? Yes. I work with GlaxoSmithKline Consumer Healthcare. I look after their HR for India subcontinent. We are in the business of nutrition and oral health care and wellness. Some of our brands are Horlicks, Boost, Iodex, and Crocin, etc., Eno. We've been in India for over 53, 54 years as a company, but even before we started off as a company, Horlicks brand has always been around for many years. It's a 100-year-old brand and still growing. We have about 4,000 people in the subcontinent and 3 large factories and commercial where we have about 700 people. Talking about the challenges, I would say 3 key challenges. One is that the FMCG industry to which we belong has been growing steadily. So recession has not really affected this industry. Pharma industry and FMCG industry not been affected. So, and growing, the industry is growing, the sector is growing at about 15-16%, and we've been growing at about 20%. So when that happens, there are always challenges in terms of attracting and retaining talent. So that's the first piece. And the FMCG sector is such, it has by its nature very strong marketing function. And the FMCG marketers are in great demand. So whether you are in telecom company or even service sector, the FMCG marketers are always in great demand. So how do we retain the talent? So therefore you need to have a very accelerated career development plan for good guys. It is very important. You got to make sure that you pay them well. And also you want to make sure that people have aspirations in terms of making career in a global organization. So your career development plan cannot be restricted only to the Indian business. It has to be a global career development plan. So that is one big challenge we have. I think the second challenge, and that is very important, and I think the academia can also come in here, is when people join us from the business schools, and I'm talking about the commercial side of the business, and there is huge internal equity issue, right? This batch and that batch and all guys in the same batch should be moving together. And this goes on for years. And even after 20 years, I do hear this conversation wherein somebody is saying that, look, my batch guy has become a vice president and I'm still a general manager, and this is still happening. That's the reality. So I think the challenge is to bring about a change in the mindset, because this is more emotional issue rather than a rational issue. So how do you bring about this change in the mindset? So differentiated development is something which is very critical for us. So you've got to have a differentiated career development plan wherein good guys are going to be moving faster and not so good guys are not going to be moving faster. I think that's the third is, again, at the there are certain levels wherein I would face greater retention issues, and typically those levels would be middle to senior. The guy is senior enough to move into a senior role, but at the same time, because it's a pyramid organization, you may not have too many opportunities. So therefore the challenge is, how do we guide people to look at alternate career development opportunities within the organization? So it's not only vertical career that we're talking about. You also look at diagonal and horizontal career. I think that's where the challenge is, and I think we need to put in a lot of energy behind making sure that the people understand and they can make a career in other spheres.
Yes, sir.
My name is P. Dwarkanath. I am the advisor Group Human Capital of Max Group. Max India is an Indian conglomerate. We have about 10,000 crores turnover, and we have about 15,000 permanent workforce, apart from agents and others. This company has been there for last 30 years. In last 15 years, we have taken a different shift. In 2000, to be more precise, the vision of the organization has changed. Earlier, we were in pharmaceuticals, bulk drugs, ITES, telecom, we were Hutch Telephone and so on. But 2000, we have decided that we focus, our vision of the organization is to be for doing social good. That is, we are in the business of life. We care for life through Max Healthcare. We protect life through, Max Life Insurance. We take care of the health through Max Bupa. We enhance the quality of life through clinical research called Max Neiman. So we have started focusing only on the social good of this. So this is what about the company. The challenges, when you are in a conglomerate, the challenges are very different. It depends on the industry specific. Even within the industry, we have life insurance and health insurance. The evolution of the organizations at different phases. Life insurance have become privatized in the beginning of this century, 2000, whereas health insurance is just evolving. Healthcare is a very different ball game. So I think if you say, to sum it up in one word, what is a big challenge in terms of career and people issues, it's mainly for us, it is the retention. and then of course the attraction. When I say retention, it's very interesting just to put it in a perspective. If you're talking about life insurance, you will be surprised what is the attrition rate of life insurance in terms of field force agents. Can you just any guess? It could be 100% in the industry, 80%. So, luckily we are about 60% in Max Life. I mean, I think that itself is a big challenge. And then if you see the healthcare, just come to the flip side. In healthcare, the attraction is more difficult. The doctors, the top clinicians is very difficult to attract. Even if you attract, it's difficult to retain them. Because with Arun was talking about mindset issue, here is also a mindset issue. Who are the doctors? Doctors have come from a government institutions or come from philanthropic or missionary institutions. They have that zeal, missionary zeal, but how do you corporatize them? And when you're talking about the careers, you need to tell the professor, head of the surgery department, please, it is not only you have to develop yourself in terms of your people skills, but you need to give the appraisal of your team. He says, I am interested doing only a surgery, but not interested in doing the appraisals of the people. So it is what the corporatization, apart from managing the their hygiene factors. The other bit is nurses. The highest turnover of nurses is 40 to 50%, and so that is another challenge. And you have what have been taught in the nursing schools is very different when you come to the realities. So what our focus in terms of attracting people is not just taking the beginners, but we are looking for experienced people. But then the second challenge, when you are when you are talking about a conglomerate, when you are talking about a conglomerate, the issue would be the issue is more in terms of how do you interchange them? How do you move a guy from a life insurance to health insurance? It's a big challenge because there is a joint venture partnerships, there are certain policies each organizations have, and even if they're willing to change, the mindset of the people doing a life insurance business is very different from doing a health insurance business. How do you bring the capability building? So if I have to sum it up, one is the retention, second to some extent is the attraction, and the third one is how do you build how do you do the capability building to ensure that they become an enterprise outlook rather than a vertical outlook, in the sense they're working as a Max Group employee rather than looking at a Max Bupa employee or a Max Healthcare employee or a life insurance employee. These are a couple of challenges I thought we had. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Manmohan Bhutani. I am head HR for Fiserv India. Fiserv is a US multinational, basically into information technology in terms of providing software products and solutions to the banking and financial services industry. So we are more of a product company which is having a lot of complex products for the banking and financial services. We started in 2006, so today we are about 7-year-old, and we have acquired about 3-4 companies in the last couple of years. So we have about 4,000 people, including these acquisition which I am talking about. So there's been a lot of fast growth which has happened during the last 4-5 years. The challenge which we are now seeing in the IT industry is the growth, because growth has slowed down. We are still growing, but earlier growth rate of 25-30%, which was very natural to the IT industry, I think that that has come down to around 12 to 15%. We are even more than the industry, but that is impacting us. The other factor which I think all of you have talked about is on the retention. And our retention, we are talking about a little bit long-term retention, because we take freshers and we groom them to become project leads and then managers. The expectation of these people is that they want to achieve the project manager or the project director titles very fast. You know, there is no patience, so they will jump around and they will leave your organization. So if the growth is not there, this creates a big challenge for the company, because if growth is happening, I am getting new projects, I am still able to provide that growth opportunities faster in terms of higher roles and higher titles or designations in many cases. But when the growth comes down, that becomes a real challenge. And when you are making products, the person takes about at least 3 to 4 years to learn the product. He starts effectively contributing after that time. So, but people don't have patience to stick around for 3-4 years. So you lose that whole knowledge where he was supposed to contribute after that 3-4 years, and he decides to leave because he thinks he has spent enough time in the company. So that retention part is how you make that career plan for him and make him grow horizontally, vertically over the next at least 8-10 years. So that is another challenge which we are facing related to growth. I think these are the two key ones which people from the IT industry will understand better, but it's I am seeing it's applicable across all the industries. That's it.
Thank you. Sonali is bringing in the academia perspective to this discussion. We'll first finish with the corporate introduction and the issues they are facing, and then Sonali could get on it.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Yeah. Okay. My name is Niharika. I come from Schneider Electric. I represent one of the business units in terms of HR. Schneider, we are a French multinational, and we are into the space of energy management. Well, we've been in India for over 3 decades, but honestly, our growth trajectory only happened in the last 5 years. Over the last couple of years, we've done a lot of acquisitions. So let's say we've done 6 acquisitions in the last 2 years. So that's the kind of growth that we are seeing. We are primarily into products. However, we're also venturing into solutions currently. So therefore, we are looking at 2 business models, both product as well as solutions. In terms of challenges, first and foremost, obviously, in terms of how do we integrate our people. So, we have people coming from different backgrounds, different values. So how is it that we can get one culture within Schneider Electric? So that's one of the biggest challenges that we have. Also, the economic downturn has impacted us. So we saw a growth of close to double digits in the last 2 years, while last year wasn't too good for us. So how is it that we can keep the engagement of our frontline salespeople going? So that's one of the biggest challenges that we are currently facing. Another challenge, as everyone has also rightly said, is how do we retain our key talent? So that's something that we need to focus on. So these are a couple of things that we have, and also since we are venturing into solutions, so from a product organization now we're getting into solution, how is it that we can upgrade our people in terms of solution, because the kind of competencies which are required for a product selling vis-a-vis a solution selling is very different. So these are a couple of issues and challenges that we are grappling with currently in Schneider.
Hi, I am Rachna Mukherjee. I represent Aircel here, and Aircel is a telecom service provider. Telecom sector for the first time probably in India is going through a sort of a challenge it has not seen earlier. It has been a hyper growth sector, but in the last 1 or 2 years it has tasted slow.